All right, y'all, welcome to the show. We got a lot going on today, man. We got a lot going on. So in just a second, we're going to dive into it. There is officially a constitutional crisis going on where Elon Musk and his Doge team are illegally ransacking federal agencies. I've never seen anything like this before, man. I've never seen anything like this before. We'll dive into that. Then we'll talk about Trump's trade war and the markets tanking. Things are moving super fast, and it's not pretty. Now, we have an update that just dropped on the trade war, and that's interesting to discuss as well, so we'll dive into that. We have the MAGA purges have officially begun. We're going to see what the Democrats are up to. Spoiler alert, it ain't anywhere near good enough. And then we'll get to an update on Trump's idea to lock immigrants up at Guantanamo Bay, and the potential war with Panama that's looming, and Trump continuing to cut airline safety as plane after plane after plane crashes or has some other kind of accident. So I wish I had some good news for you today, y'all, but I have anything but good news. So everybody do me a big favor. Please subscribe to the channel. That helps out massively, and it costs you nothing at all. It helps spread the videos around through the algorithm. And of course, a massive thank you to everybody who supports this show on Patreon or tips on YouTube. This is real independent media, man, and we could not do it without you. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into this here. So I've been struggling with how to put this properly into words. And I say that because we truly and sincerely have never seen anything like this in the history of the United States of America. What's currently going on is, at the very least, a constitutional crisis. You could honestly say it's bordering on a coup. But Elon Musk and his Doge team have basically illegally hacked into the U.S. Treasury, which is something we discussed previously in a separate segment the other day. But they're also ransacking federal agencies, okay? So here, let's dive into it. This is from The Guardian. The title is, Elon Musk's Doge team granted full access to federal payment system. Trump's Treasury Secretary gives the world's richest person entry to one of the most sensitive U.S. government databases. So the dude Scott Bessent, the guy who's going to be the Treasury Secretary, this guy is hedge funder, venture capitalist, got worth like $500 million or something, literally a paid sycophant of Trump, and just allowing access to Elon Musk illegally into the U.S. Treasury. Here, let's dive into it. Elon Musk's government/and crew, the Department of Government Efficiency, has been given access to the federal payment system, exposing the sensitive personal data of millions of Americans, as well as details of public contractors who compete directly with Musk's own businesses, an influential U.S. senator has confirmed. Ron Wyden, a Democratic senator from Oregon and the ranking member of the Senate Finance Committee, posted on Blue Sky that sources had confirmed to him that the Treasury's highly sensitive database has been opened up to the tech billionaire and his team. Donald Trump's new Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, had granted the billionaire's Doge team full access to the system. Wyden added that the data bonanza included Social Security and Medicare benefits, grants, payments to government contractors, all of it. Literally trillions of dollars of funds. Confirmation of the arrangement suggests that Musk, the world's richest person, now has entry to one of the most sensitive U.S. government databases. The system controls more than $6 trillion of federal cash flow each year, with millions of Americans depending on it for Social Security and Medicare benefits, federal salaries, and more. Now, by the way, you all remember, it wasn't that long ago, it was just a few days back, that these people illegally froze so much spending. Medicaid, which is health care for 72 million Americans, including low-income Americans and disabled Americans, they had froze that, right? Head Start, frozen. Meals on Wheels, frozen. Money for school breakfast and lunch for kids, frozen. Home heating assistance, frozen. All of these things were frozen illegally. There was a colossal backlash. Some of the stuff was unfrozen because there was no authority for them to do what they did. And now you have Elon Musk going even deeper into the federal government and accessing the U.S. Treasury. No authority to do it whatsoever. All right, more. Until now, the information stored on it has been exceptionally closely guarded, with only a select few officials having clearance to control it. But since the advent of the Trump administration on January 20th, members of Musk's Doge team have been battering to be given access. On Friday, the Washington Post revealed that the Treasury Department's top civil servant had retired after more than 30 years of service. David LeBrick had clashed with Musk associates over their efforts to effectively break into the system. According to the New York Times, LeBrick had been placed on administrative leave after he objected to Doge agents being given access. The newspaper reported that the incoming Treasury Secretary Bessent gave his permission to the new deal late on Friday. So guys, this guy worked there since 1989. He is completely apolitical or non-political. He's a civil servant. He's a bureaucrat. He's like a dot the I's and cross the T's kind of guy, rule-following kind of guy. Only a handful of people have access to this payment system in the U.S. Treasury. Doge comes in, like a bull in a china shop, says, we want to access all this. He goes, you have zero authority to do that. You're not allowed to do that. That's not a thing. So he tries to fight back. Then boom, he gets placed on leave. He ends up retiring because he wants absolutely nothing to do with this criminality that he's witnessing. And now it's the wild, wild west. And you have Elon Musk literally openly talking on Twitter about canceling payments that he doesn't like. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not the way the system functions. Congress has what's called the power of the purse. That's not open to debate. Every court in the country would validate that. Right wing, left wing, center, doesn't matter. Congress has the power of the purse. The money that is allocated to be spent by Congress is once it's all said and done, once Congress passes a bill, the president signs it, everything's there, that's it. There is no, like Musk was saying, they haven't rejected not a single payment at the Treasury. Yeah, because that's not their fucking job. That's not their job. So we have a South African billionaire who literally doesn't know the first thing about our government, who has now illegally hacked and ransacked the U.S. Treasury and is destroying federal agencies. More on that in a little bit. Under the arrangement, the Times reported, one of the Doge members who can now scour the data of millions of Americans is Tom Krause, chief executive of the tech company Cloud Software Group. Before confirming the deal, Wyden had already sounded the alarm about Musk's attempts to break into such a sensitive federal database. On Friday, he wrote to Bessent, warning that the system was so critical, quote, it simply cannot fail. Now, by the way, what other sort of security issues are there now? Right? You got these people who have no right to access any of this data. They hack in there. They access this data. Now, everybody's security is at risk. And the other thing is, like they pointed out in this article, how many of these contractors where you can see their payments are competitors of Elon Musk? And it looks like he's been given a total green light by Trump, again, illegally, to just, delete whatever the fuck you want to delete. They're talking that about USAID is one example of that. All right, let's continue. Wyden warned that any politically motivated meddling in them risks severe damage to our country and the economy. I can think of no good reason why political operators who have demonstrated a blatant disregard for the law would need access to these sensitive, mission-critical systems. One of the fears about granting entry to the system to a freewheeling outfit controlled by Musk is that he could use it to block payments to a large number of federal programs as part of his mission to slash and burn the U.S. government. Again, I want to reiterate this, guys. None of this is legal. None of this is constitutional. Congress has the power of the purse. The spending that's been allocated is done and over. The Treasury has no right to pause any payments whatsoever. And they are openly discussing, we're going to freeze this, we're going to freeze that, we're going to go after this, we're going to go after that. It is slash and burn. We are witnessing slash and burn. And the thing that is, I just cannot wrap my mind around, is nobody seems to be doing anything to reel this back in. I don't see the Democrats doing shit. I don't see the courts doing shit. I don't see legal groups doing shit. So it's sit back and watch the show, and then after the fact, there'll be criticism, I'm sure, but the damage will be done. And then also, you have Elon Musk doing all this stuff. Let's imagine a scenario where he's correctly arrested, which is what should happen. Donald Trump will probably come out the next day and say, I'm giving him a full pardon for whatever the fuck you guys are arresting him for. That's it. Let him go and let him keep continuing his work. The Supreme Court gave us this reality. When they said, hey, anything that's an official act or anything that even you just perceive as an official act is allowed, well, Trump's obviously going to be like, I'm granting Doge the authority as an official act to slash and burn here. Guys, what we are witnessing is a Javier Milei-like takeover, where they're going to try to slash everything in sight that they personally don't like. Anarcho-capitalism to the max for you, but of course, endless corporate welfare and subsidies for the robber barons who, as I've pointed out, are going to run out the back door with all the money. Wyden also suggested that the move could pose a national security threat, given Musk's extensive business interests in China, which in turn could give the Chinese intelligence services a pipeline into U.S. data. This endangers U.S. cybersecurity and creates conflicts of interest that make Musk's access to these systems a national security risk. We have never been in a situation like this before. I don't even know the last time it was ever in question about, does Congress have the power of the purse? That is clear as day. I mean, there was a debate years ago about this notion, decades ago, I should say, of a line item veto. So in other words, Congress passes something, the bill gets to the president's desk, and he could take out individual lines. I don't like this part of the bill, and I don't like this part of the bill. I'm going to get rid of that, and the rest is going to be implemented. There was a debate about that. Well, it turns out the president doesn't have the right to do a line item veto. But what we're talking about here is so far beyond that. We're talking about Congress passes a law, right? So the House and the Senate pass a law, it gets to the president's desk, president signs it, it becomes law. Here we are after the fact, when all of that is done, it's over. And you have a completely unelected South African billionaire, a robber baron, the richest oligarch in the world, says, I'm going to illegally hack the computer and pause the payments that I don't like. Slash and burn the government agencies I don't like. We've never seen anything like this before. And in a world that made sense, where there was any law and order left, he would have been arrested yesterday. So this is from Wired magazine. The private information of every American is now in the hands of 6 guys not old enough to rent a car. So Elon Musk took 6 20-somethings, young 20-somethings, as part of his Doge non-government agency, and he's having them hack the U.S. Treasury. Here's what they say. Wired has identified 6 young men, all apparently between the ages of 19 and 24. According to public databases, their online presences and other records, who have little to no government experience and are now playing critical roles in Musk's so-called Department of Government Efficiency. Every single one of these people are committing federal crimes. Every single one. By the way, Elon Musk is responding to people who are saying who these people are online. He's responding to them saying, you are committing a federal crime. So in other words, he says, I'm not committing a federal crime by illegally hacking the U.S. Treasury and deleting whatever payments I want to delete. I'm not committing a crime. You're committing a crime by saying who's engaging in that crime with me. Doge project tasked by executive order with modernizing federal technology and software to maximize government efficiency and productivity. The engineers all hold nebulous job titles within Doge, and at least one appears to be working as a volunteer. The engineers are Akash Baba, Edward Korestein, Luke Farrader, Gautier Cole-Killian, Gavin Kleiger, and Ethan Chotran. None have responded to requests for comment from Wired. Representatives from OPM, GSA, and Doge did not respond to requests for comment. So guys, call this what this is. We have a bunch of pilled up, Adderalled up, young 20-somethings under the spell of Elon Musk who are committing federal crimes and deleting federal agencies on a whim because he wants them to when they have no right to even be in the system. At the same time, Elon Musk is out there retweeting things like this. Ready? Regulations should be default gone, not default there. Default gone. We need a wholesale spring cleaning of regulations. If we ever remove something good, we can bring it back. So he's trying to delete whatever federal agencies he wants to on a whim, no authority whatsoever to do so. And he's also out there saying, well, the regulations are next. All the regulations, we're going to come after them. Clean air, clean water, environmental regulations, labor regulations, child safety regulations. Like, if he had his way, he would actually get rid of the notion that you need airbags in cars. This guy is a genuine extremist. And I'll give you this as well. USAID security chiefs on leave after trying to prevent Musk's Doge from accessing classified material, officials say. That's the other thing. All this stuff is classified. All this stuff is classified. And now you're getting it from all these different government agencies. They're all coming out saying, hey, we all got a cryptic email that said, don't come into work tomorrow. You're done. We all got a cryptic email that said something like that. And the few brave ones who are trying to prevent the illegal hacking of classified information, they're the ones who are bearing the brunt of the retaliation. So they were put on leave, trying to prevent Elon from committing more federal crimes. The only reason you might not be able to call this a coup is because we have no idea where the military stands on stuff like this happening, right? If these guys have the backing of the military for their, then yeah, you could say it's a coup, right? But certainly at the very least, this is a massive constitutional crisis. And as I said, I don't see any serious democratic organized resistance. I don't see the judges and courts stepping in. I don't see groups suing over this. Why are the fascists able to move at 1,000 miles an hour and the resistance is stuck going 4 miles an hour? Now is not the time for everybody to sit back and just watch what happens. This is unprecedented what we're looking at. And I don't think people have fully grasped how ugly and terrible and disastrous this will be for the country, for American citizens, for the economy, for the fact that now the country is wholesale run by the robber barons directly. The world's richest man spent over $250 million getting Trump elected. And now he is directly in control of federal funds. I mean, what do you call that? We might need to invent a new word. You could say kleptocracy, plutocracy, oligarchy. But we might need a new word. Kakistocracy, government by the worst of us. Certainly we're looking at that. But it genuinely appears like, and I didn't consider this. I was wrong about this. I thought in my heart of hearts, Trump still wants to be the man. He wants to be the big boss man, calling all the shots. It turns out no. It turns out he wanted the validation of winning again, but he didn't want all the headache of governing again, which is why he's already been golfing like 3 times since he got elected. So he genuinely and sincerely is delegating running the country on many fronts to Elon Musk. And this is the result. The guy is a genuine ideological extremist. And he will slash and burn everything in sight. He's in the midst of doing it right now illegally after hacking the U.S. Treasury. Also hacking the GSA. Like the list, he's getting in everything. I'm at a loss for words. In a system that made sense, in a system where there was any semblance of law and order remaining, he would be arrested yesterday. No questions asked. And there would be accountability for this. But we are now deeply up Schitt's Creek without a paddle. Because even if he gets arrested, which he won't, Trump would say, I'm pardoning him anyway. As bad as we all knew the second Trump term would be, I don't think anybody could have predicted it would have gotten this bad, this quick. Nobody had on their bingo card the richest man in the world, this South African robber baron, is going to directly hack into U.S. government funds and do whatever the fuck he wants with them. It's beyond mind-boggling. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.